Good evening. In about 28 hours, we'll know something important about 4 individuals and perhaps something vital about the health and possible future of this democracy. Keep them honest. It'd be nice if there were some gentler way of framing it, but it's hard to see how, because in about 28 hours, we'll know whether these four, all former public servants, have any devotion to the laws and institutions they once swore to preserve and uphold, or whether they owe their allegiance entirely to one man, the former president. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former aides and allies Dan Scavino, Steve Bannon, and Kash Patel have until tomorrow night at midnight to answer subpoenas from the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol and the former president's attempt to overturn the election, which is the euphemistic phrase we've all come to accept for an attempted coup. In a moment, we'll hear from a member of the committee. In the meantime, as we reported last night, Dan Scavino, the former president's Twitter voice, is in the wind. Multiple sources telling CNN he can't be found to receive the subpoena. As for the other 3, we can't say to what degree, if any, they have cooperated with the committee. Perhaps the congressman can clear that up in a moment. What we do know is the former president today sent a message just as plainly as the ones he used to send when he would dangle pardons in front of witnesses or issue threats to potential cooperators, or as he calls them, rats. And we should say we generally do not air the man's rantings at all. However, it's a different story when those rantings show his retrospective support for the last coup attempt and suggest his eagerness for another. Now, here's the statement he released. Quote, "The unselect committee of partisan Democrats and 2 very weak and pathetic rhinos should come to the conclusion after spending many millions of dollars that the real insurrection happened on November 3rd, the presidential election, not on January 6th, which was a day of protesting the fake election results." Blah, 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 blah. But it also might be a message to those 4 who are due to comply with the committee. In short, resist. Of course, there's no way of knowing his motives. Perhaps he was simply jealous that Mike Pence's remarks the other day, as absurd as they were on Fox News, grabbed the spotlight for, about 24 hours.
I know the media wants to distract from the Biden administration's failed agenda by focusing on one day in January. They want to use that one day to try and demean the character and intentions of 74 million Americans who believed we could be strong again and prosperous again and supported our administration in 2016 and 2020.
I don't know for a fact. I think he practices those things. I think he practices the whole steely look, the whole kind of shoulder wiggle, the whole like Pence thing. Just a guess. That's the guy the rioters said they wanted to kill. Literally kill him, hang him. That video of him being rushed to safety, of course, thanks to the Secret Service, his family members too. But he's so compromised by his fealty to his former master, so desperate to be president himself. He's gotten such a little taste of it being vice president that he's trying to excuse the whole affair. Just one day in January. That's the lessons he's learned, apparently, and we'll see tomorrow if the people subpoenaed are reading from the same script. Probably are. It's behavior not seen since, well, I mean, I don't know, days of Stalin and his crowd of toadying mediocrities. Never seen it here, really. Not ever, until now. Don't take it from me. Last night I spoke with former National Security Council senior official Fiona Hill. She's a student and historian of Russia and the Soviet Union, and she works in the White House, and she sees the danger.
Well, we're on a completely different path than we've been on for, the last several hundred years since our independence. We're back on the path to tyranny, and I don't say that lightly. Because once you get someone who has no real respect for the institutions that have been built up over hundreds of years, that have been laid down in the Constitution, and only thinks about themselves, then we've forgotten what this country was about.
On the road to tyranny. Joining us now, Congressman Peter Aguilar, Democrat of California, member of the Select Committee. Congressman, I really appreciate you being with us. Do you believe the former president's allies whom you've subpoenaed will actually comply by tomorrow's deadline?
Well, what we believe is that it's every American's opportunity and their duty to respond to a subpoena like this and to tell the truth. That's all we've sought. That's what we're asking. And we feel that if someone wanted to be patriotic and put the Constitution first, they would do just that.
But you know the track record of, in Trump world, I mean, that they have proven that not paying attention to subpoenas from the House actually works. It actually, because it was a norm that was followed that people would reply to subpoenas, but it turns out the House doesn't really have the power to enforce them.
Well, that's true. In prior times, And I think that we'll see. Let's see their level of compliance, and then we'll see what the select committee does from there. But we have options. We've been very clear about that. That's been reported, both civil and criminal options. And we have a Department of Justice who has an open line of communication with us. And so we feel that that we have the opportunity to compel them at some point.
Can you say if any of the people you have subpoenaed have, I mean, have you been able to serve some of them? Have you been able to serve Dan Scavino? Because all the reporting we had was that as of now, he has not been served.
I've seen that reporting as well, and we're going through the proper steps. And I'm not going to get into all the investigative steps, and maybe we need to look in Dan Scavino's mom's basement for him. But we'll do what we need to do, and we have the appropriate help in order to facilitate that.
You talked about criminal options. What kind of? I mean, are you talking about a criminal referral to the Department of Justice? And what would that? How would that work?
That's one of the tools for noncompliance. The committee would have to make a vote, and the House would ultimately have to make a vote to send something to the Department of Justice. What we've said and what the chairman has said very clearly is that those are options that are available to the committee. But let's step back. Let's wait for the deadline, both for material as well as for their testimony to come before us. Once those deadlines lapse, then the committee as a whole will look at the alternatives and take action that's accordingly.
CNN is reporting that the former #2 official at the Trump Justice Department, Richard Donahue, sat for an interview with your committee this past Friday. Can you tell us anything about that?
I can tell you that the committee is making progress, that there are staff level meetings and interactions that are informal, as well as interviews that are taking place throughout the month. We'll continue to make progress. Members are engaged in this process, and our ultimate goal here is to produce a report that lays out exactly what happened on January 5th and January 6th and the events that led up to that. That's our goal, that's our focus, and that's what we're attempting to do here.
We just learned that the Facebook whistleblower will be meeting with your committee as soon as tomorrow. Has she provided information to your committee? What do you hope to learn from her?
I'm aware of that reporting, and it's my understanding that she indicated she was going to come and talk to the committee while she was on Capitol Hill earlier today. Let's I'll allow those conversations, to happen, and let's see what can come of it. Like I said, there are different levels of meetings and discussions that are being had, some at the staff level and some involving members and investigators that are more formal. And so we have these tools available to us, and we're going to continue to meet with anyone who has information or seeks to provide us information that can help us in ultimately producing a report that talks about the facts and the importance of making sure that this doesn't happen again.
Just lastly, I'm wondering, I mean, I've really stopped reading the former president's, statements that they put out. This one did sort of rise to the top of the cesspool of Mar-a-Lago, and I saw it, and we mentioned it tonight. When you hear the president saying the real insurrection was Election Day, I know, the bar has been lowered so low for this person, but, to think that a former president of the United States is calling an election day that was actually wildly successful in the midst of a pandemic, more people coming out than ever before, Republicans and Democrats voting. It was an extraordinary election. Republicans did very well all across the country. Just the president lost. The idea that he's calling that the real insurrection, what do you think about that?
That his own Homeland Security Department said was a free and fair election, and his Attorney General at the time said the same thing. So, it's just so detached from reality. But I think the American public sees right through this. They know the lies and the deception that he stokes to pursue, and it's unfortunate and difficult, but it shows the importance of the work that the Select Committee is going to do here, because we need to separate fact from fiction, and clearly there's a lot of fiction that comes out of his former tweets and his current, however he puts these statements out. But we're gonna get to the truth, and we're gonna do it in a thoughtful way, and to make sure that we take in as much information as possible, and we compel folks to come give that testimony.
Congressman Aguilar, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.